Howdy folks, hope you're all having a good one, and welcome to the season finale of Season 4 of A Game of Throws. And this one isn't going to be like all the others. I do try to save something special for the season finales, and Season 4 is no exception. This is The God's War, in the Austro-Hungarian Tier 9 destroyer, the Jager. This is a weird ship. I mean, there's nothing weird with the ship itself, but, well, we'll come on to this in a moment. What do you need to know about the Jager? Well, Tier 9 destroyer, and it's all about the torpedoes. And the stealth. The stealth isn't bad. Actually, the stealth's pretty good, 5.4 kilometers, but the torpedoes are amazing. They only have a 65-second reload. They have a speed of 95 knots. It gets 12 of them, and they have a 12-kilometer range. The only bad thing about the torpedoes is the individual damage, 7,500, but 12 of them, and they reload every 65 seconds. Now, some of you might already be sitting there thinking, hang on a minute, a World War I destroyer with torpedoes that do 95 knots, and yeah, that's a very keen observation. You see, these torpedoes are a variation of the Torped M1947 torpedoes equipped on the Swedish Tier 10 destroyer, the Halland. Oh well, yeah, I mean, that makes sense. They're both pan-European destroyers, so it makes sense that they'd share variations of the same torpedoes. Well, yeah, except the Halland was commissioned in 1955 and this thing was designed in 1918. Now, I don't know where the Austro-Hungarian Empire got its time machine from, but they clearly didn't use it wisely because they ceased to exist as an empire in 1918, so, yeah. Also, it does 37 knots, and that's without using the speed boost. How? I mean, what kind of engine was it using? If you go to this ship's wiki entry, it doesn't actually name the engine because they made it up. I mean, the Royal Canadian Navy's fastest ship in World War I was a torpedo boat that could manage slightly more than 30 knots. This thing does 37 without even exerting itself. I mean, they're clearly making stuff up here. Haven't even talked about the guns yet. The guns are truly terrible. Anyway, Tears of the Desert, Cap Circle Alpha. He's not able to take it because he's sharing the cap circle with something. If it's the enemy submarine, that's really bad news because he will get outspotted by a submarine. V God's War, you just... There it is. One of those new French destroyers. Now, he does outspot that guy. And he needs to be really careful he doesn't get to within 5.4 kilometers. Oh, there it is, he's spotted. Now, this thing doesn't get a smoke screen. Oh, no, it's okay. He's undetected again. Now, firing his guns at the Lahadi over there would be a very bad idea at this point, for two very good reasons. One, it would get him spotted. And two, the Lahadi would absolutely destroy him in a gunfight. And I can say that with total confidence, despite not knowing the first thing about these new French destroyers. Seriously, I haven't even looked at their stats. I certainly don't have any of them for myself. But I know he would lose a gunfight with the Lahadi, who has gone undetected, because the Jager could manage to lose a gunfight against a Tier 1 cruiser. The guns are really that bad. They're quite a large caliber, though. 150mm. I mean, that's light cruiser caliber. But it only has 3 of them. They have a range of less than 10 kilometers, and they have a nearly 14-second reload. I mean, they are absolutely shockingly bad. The torpedoes, on the other hand, I think they must have gotten the torpedoes from Red Alert 2 using Einstein's time machine. That's the only logical explanation. Well, I don't know, you explain them. 95 knots. The hell? These torpedoes are from 1947. They were used on destroyers that were commissioned in 1955. What's a 1918 destroyer doing with... whatever. You come up with a better explanation. So, right, there's the Lahadi again. He's clearly trying to find you. So, okay, this is good. There goes the engine boost. I mean, this thing's already pretty fast, and it's even faster with the engine boost, so just get to more than 5.4 kilometers away. Alright, this is fine. Just keep going, and don't shoot him. Don't shoot! What are you... Oh! See how bad these guns are? And remember, anytime you fire them, anybody within your shooting range can see you for the next 20 seconds, even if you stop shooting. which means the Lahadi is now spotting you for everybody else. No, stop shooting! Oh my. And the Lahadi has significantly more and faster firing guns than you do. Yep, he just knocked your engine out. There goes the damage control. Okay, he's outside your detection range. Just stop. No, stop shooting! What are you doing? You are not going to win this gunfight. Oh, my. The only thing keeping you alive now is your speed. But he's knocked your engine out again. You're on the map border, so it's reducing your engine power. And you just will not stop shooting at him. Man, this was so frustrating to watch. I did say this was not like other episodes of A Game of Thrones. And V-God's War, if you're watching this, and you probably are, please do try to take this in the spirit in which it's intended. Take this as constructive criticism. You can see why what you just did there cost you half your health. You could have still launched all of the torpedoes and just used that engine boost to get more than 5.4 kilometers away from the Lahadi. And you would have still had almost all of your health. You should have really died there. Because it wasn't just the Lahadi. At the point where you got spotted, you were within shooting range and line of fire of a couple of other enemy ships. So you were extremely lucky to survive. Now, there's one other thing that I want to point out about this. Replaying it probably shouldn't come as a surprise to anybody. It's to do with the scores. Yep, this is another one of those bugged replays where the scores on display at the top of the screen are actually flipped. The enemy team are the ones with 255 points, and it's only a 55-point lead. That's nothing. If somebody on V-God's War team gets the next kill, for example, and that's exactly what happened. The Musashi just scored a kill. V-God's War's team are now ahead. 240 points to 201. Oh, and he's spotted again. And this time it's a submarine. Now, I can't really criticise him too much for shooting here because it does force the submarine to submerge. Unfortunately, while the submarine is no longer spotting him, because he was forced to fire in order to force the submarine to submerge, he is now once again lit up by the Frenchman over there. But this time, he's learned his lesson. He's not shooting back. So he just has to wait to the count of the 20 from the... There it is. From the last time he fired his guns, he's now undetected. Of course, the other benefit of having really crappy guns with really shitty range, like, I mean, seriously, 9.5 kilometers? Why would you even bother? Is that you don't have to go particularly far in order to exceed your gun's firing and therefore spotting range. Once again, go undetected. That submarine's going to be a problem, though. Because if he pops back up to periscope depth, even for just a second, you're going to get spotted. You really don't want to get spotted right now, not just because you'd get shot at, but also you are actually flipping this cap. Now, you could close in and depth charge him, but you're going to have to pay very careful attention to your radio location indicator, because right now it's still pointing that way, but you are no longer alone in this cap circle. It's now being contested by somebody. Probably not the submarine at periscope depth, otherwise you would be spotted. Probably means the Lahadi's come back. And you're spotted. It's the submarine, isn't it? Yep, there it is. Right, he's going to be forced to crash dive again, so you're no longer detected. And the Lahadi did take the opportunity to squeeze a couple of shots off at you, but he's miles away, so you can now probably quite safely close in and depth charge that submarine. Now that you've forced him down, and you've successfully taken the cap. And the Lahadi's miles away, so as long as you don't fire the guns, you're not going to risk being spotted by anybody or anything. And the depth charges are scoring hits. Now it's only splash damage, they're not direct hits, but you did cause a flood. He's used his damage control. But you did damage him. There's an oil slick over there. That was actually very well done. The initial encounter with the Lahadi, not so much, but that was pretty good. You drove the submarine off, you damaged him, you survived the encounter, and you flipped the cap circle. What is not so good, well, there's a couple of things that aren't so good. The Attigo broadsiding a Tirpitz, and the difference in points. Oh, more depth charge hits, and a fire, and we know his damage control's on cooldown. He's killed the submarine. Fantastic. That's good. What's not good is that the Attigo, in a bid to get his torpedoes away, the Tirpitz over there, because the Attigo's torpedoes are really good, gets a lot of them, but its firing angles are terrible, and that got the Attigo killed. But the torpedoes are looking pretty good. And V-God's War's starting to score Some torpedo hits here as well. There could be a kill on the turpits. Oh, there's a hit. Oh, 142. You've got to be... Come on, what's a brother got to do to get a kill around here? There it is. Right, okay. Well, it's still not good. I mean, there's still 4 against 5, and the enemy team is still 100 points ahead, but it's not as bad as it was. Oh, and the Lahadi spotted. Somebody shoot the Lahadi. Anybody. Not you, V-Gods. Don't you shoot the Lahadi. Well, I don't know, actually. I mean, the Musashi's not going to be shooting at him. It's engaging a gunfight with the Adatara. This might be one of those rare occasions where it might actually be worth using the... Oh. The friendly Synop's just gone down. And the Musashi just lost his gunfight. There's now only 2 of them left alive. V-God's War. And the Delaware down to the south. It's a torpedo hit on the Adatara, though. Now he's used his damage control. V-God's War is now in the extremely sketchy situation of being a Jager captain who actually does have to use his guns. Now it's only going to take a couple of hits to sink the Lahadi, but he cannot stand an awful lot in the way of return fire. And yep, the Adatara is firing high explosive, which is really bad news. He's got the Lahadi. Now, this wasn't a case of the Adatara captain thinking on his feet and realising that the only thing left up here is an enemy destroyer, I better switch to the high explosive. No, he was using high explosive on the Musashi, but hey, it worked. The hilarious thing here is, though, despite having the high explosive loaded, yep, he just made the big brain move of loading armour piercing to shoot at a low health destroyer. And he scores a hit. But because it was armour piercing and not high explosive, it didn't kill him. It just over penetrated. That has just left him on 396 hit points, however, but he's managed to go undetected. He's scored more torpedo hits. He's now got, well, he's taken care of the Adatara. His torpedoes now have a 46.7 second reload. They're still outnumbered. They're still 150 points behind. There's still just him and the Delaware, and the Delaware, of course, is a hybrid. Yep, that's right, the matchmaker managed to sneak a carrier in. Because it always finds a way. Fortunately, it was on V-God's team. I can only pray that the Delaware captain understands that, as well as the aircraft, he also has guns, because he's engaged in a duel with the Lepanto over there. And the Lepanto's a pretty good... Ooh, there's the last surviving enemy destroyer. And it's a Benham. That thing is a massive threat to the Delaware. You really do need to kill him. And you're going to have to do it with the torpedoes, because you cannot afford to get spotted. One hit from the Benham's guns, and the Benham doesn't have great guns, but they're good enough to kill you with a single hit, so you need to turn away. You cannot afford to get spotted here. Turn away from... Why are you not turning away from the Benham? He's going to see you. He's seen you. And then he runs face first into one of your torpedoes. You understand what you did wrong there, yeah? How it could have all ended so very, very badly. I mean, he had the guns aimed at the corner, ready to start shooting at the Benham in case the torpedoes missed, but there was no way that was ever going to work out well for him. Anyway, 2 on 2. Torpedo hit scored on the Lepanto. That is further good news. And a flood. And the flood is continuing to tick, so he's saving his damage control. Note in chat, the Delaware just said, I am going to ram the Lepanto. And he's perfectly positioned to do it if these torpedoes don't sink him. And it's here where the Delaware makes a big brain move. There's the Takahashi. He shoots the Takahashi, bitch slaps him into the middle of the next battle, closes in for the ram on the Lepanto. This is a win. Takes out the last enemy ship. V-God's War's the only thing left alive. His team wins. And this is where V-God's War suffers his second, but this time, fatal rush of shit to the brain in this battle. He fires his guns, gets spotted, is instantly obliterated by the Lepanto at a point where his team were already 48 points behind. His death now means that the points difference between the two teams is 101 points in favour of the enemy. The Delaware has already declared his intention to ram the Lepanto. He's committed. The ram is unavoidable at this point, which means both ships will die, and when all ships in the battle are dead, the victory goes to whichever team has the most points. That would be the enemy team. And then less than 2 seconds away from the collision and successfully throwing the match, his final torpedo hits the Lepanto, sinks him, scores his 6th kill, and even though they're still 26 points behind at the end of the match, with no enemy ships left around, and the Delaware still floating, by some miracle that's a win. And that brings us to the end of the final episode of the 4th season of A Game of Throws. I did tell you it was going to be different. V-God's War, honestly, thank you very, very much for sending this one in. It was endlessly entertaining. And I know I'm giving you a hard time at a couple of points in this video, but hopefully you can see why, because it's supposed to be constructive criticism. And guys, go easy on him in the comments. He never claimed to be the world's greatest player. And, you know, at the end of the day, he did get 6 kills and finished top of the team. And on that bombshell, that's it for the 4th season of A Game of Throws. I hope you all enjoyed it. And as always, take care. And I'll catch you next time.